This is an intimate, reflective discussion between a mother and her sons. And let me assure you, it's not meant to represent all men or all young men, families, or beliefs. Their identities are intentionally and non-nimnized. And this conversation is shared with their full awareness and comfort. I ask that you engage with respect. This channel is geared towards women, but I welcome all who come in good faith. As a mother of sons, I can't ignore the challenges they face daily. So from time to time, men may be a part of the conversation, not as targets, but as figures who've shaped my life, for better or for worse. I've hesitated to speak publicly about the pressures men face, not necessarily out of fear, but because public discourse so often turns polarized, performative, and disconnected from lived experience. If the conversation begins to draw the kind of hostility I've witnessed before in the past, I'll step back, not in retreat, but in protection of the space I built for reflection. As the mother of fraternal twin boys, I was always concerned about their development, their emotional world, and how they'd come to see themselves in a society that often confuses noise for identity. It may sound hyperbolic, but the world they've grown up in is vastly different from the one I knew, and I never took that lightly. From the moment I learned I was pregnant, I made a promise to be honest with them, to nurture their character and gifts, and not to worry about being their best friend, but focus on being the best mother I could be. Most importantly, I knew that who their father was and how he showed up would shape their blueprint for manhood. I chose him with that in mind. Now that they're older, I wanted to hear from them directly, so we sat down and talked about what it's like to grow up in today's world as a young man, what they see, what they feel, and where they think it's all going. What is your take on your generation when it comes to the concerns of lonely men or young or guys your age?
Well, I think it's just that they're not being proactive enough. If you seclude yourself in your house, you can't just expect a woman to walk into your lap.
When it comes to rejection, I wanted all three of my children, both sons and daughter, to understand respect isn't a reward. It's a baseline, and that goes both ways. Is it more, so you mentioned dating. So is it just dating, or is it even just establishing just friendships?
I think it's probably friendship, trying to talk to someone, maybe, if they just don't have good social skills or didn't develop them at all.
We talked about whether young men really find connection online, or if it's more of a substitute for something deeper. How say you, sir?
I mean, with the rise of the internet, there may be instances with guys not developing proper social skills. They just talk online or whatever. Because when I hear people, a lot of people speak on the internet, they I don't know, they talk very awkwardly a lot. Well, this is an exception to I don't know, I'd say games where they use they have a clan system. That's mostly the exception, since you are actually socializing and communicating with people.
What do you mean a clan system?
Something like RuneScape. Or...
No, it's your own. The clan is your own personal community within the game where you collaborate with each other, essentially.
But yet again, you shouldn't really rely on the internet to create community.
He's right. Relying on the internet shouldn't be the only way to find a connection. But for a lot of young men today, it's all they've got. That's not a judgment, it's just reality. And if we ignore that, we're missing where they actually live. So you're talking about a momentary situation where in this moment you're operating in a clan, but this is like a virtual space. It's not real life.
Yeah.
And they'll extend that. They'll start to like impose that their feelings as like, oh, this is my brotherhood, or these are my friends.
Yeah.
When it's like that's not the case.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What elements or factors have played into your life that like helped with your development to where you felt you kind of sidestepped loneliness or the epidemic, or do you even feel that?
I don't feel lonely. I don't. I'm not really thinking about like, oh, I'm so lonely and miserable. I don't really think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What things like in school related or non-school related has helped like cultivate you as an individual?
Well, first of all, there's Boy Scouts. Also, there's our synagogue. That's helped us foster a sense of community. That's outside of school.
Uh-huh. How about you?
I'd say the same.
What have you experienced now that you've done like a term doing like sports on a sports team? How has that impacted your development?
Well, we're all very encouraging of each other. It's fun to hang out with them, even if it's for only like an hour. And I feel like I've known them much longer than I actually have.
Aw. How about you, Bookish? How about you? How do you cultivate like relationships at school?
Really. I mean, I describe myself as more introverted. However, I still have decent interactions with my peers. It's not like I'm completely socially awkward or whatever. I just in general prefer to have to be alone more often. But that doesn't mean I can't talk to others.
Online, there's a flood of identity labels targeted at young men. I asked my sons what they think of that language. This was their response. Would you call yourself a Sigma male?
Sigma man? No.
What do you think of these labels that are out in these like really fringe channels on the internet?
Yeah, I think it's just stupid.
Yeah, how harmful do you find it harmful?
Yeah, like labels in general, like I think it's just kind of weird.
At this point of the conversation, we shifted into a tangent I've chosen not to include in full. My values don't align with diminishing any group, and I want this space to remain focused on care and curiosity. Without spilling into gender expression, just you find labels diminishing.
Yeah, just yeah, pretty much. Like because I know there's like a lot of young people who want to find themselves, but attaching yourself to these weird labels, I just don't think it's productive at all.
How say you?
I mean, like, calling yourself an alpha male or a sigma male, it just sounds more like a joke, really. I don't know how specific the requirements for the label. I think people calling themselves something they're not or looking for attention.
In the real world, do you see people like openly expressing themselves in discussion?
No one would say, "Hello, my name is blank and blank, and I'm an alpha male." Like, that's never going to come up in a conversation.
I think people have enough shame not to say that in public.
The only place someone could admit that would be on the internet.
Yeah.
So, would you say that it's more just the squeaky wheel getting a lot of noise and attention, and that it's been like exasperated into thinking that everybody is feeling this way?
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who is experiencing loneliness?
I don't know. I said, try to get out more, or stop secluding yourself. Maybe try talking to people with similar interests as you.
Get a cat.
Yeah, get a cat.
Would you say that the way maybe these individuals' familiar structures, do you say that has an impact on their ability to cultivate relationships outside the home?
I'd probably say most definitely yes.
Would you say that you are very lucky to have an awesome mother and father that
Yes.
breeds a supportive
Yes,
household for expression and emotional support?
At the end of the day, your family is pretty much your strongest network, your blood. And if you don't have a strong base network to get you started in life, you're just gonna have a bad time.
So I wouldn't say that it's the end all be all, but I could say that maybe if we're coming out in starting gates, maybe other people's starting gate is like set back further.
Yeah.
And so they have to, trot a couple more yards before they can get to a what's considered a healthy foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good analogy?
Yeah.
Yes.
What have you learned from being in this family and how we relate to each other in comparison to like your cohorts? Like, what have you noticed? Any like drastic social differences sometimes?
Well, I've noticed that my peers in school are quite vulgar.
They're very vulgar. Yeah.
Yes. And
Do they seem like angry or like have a lot of angst?
maybe that's maybe the reason they're vaping in the bathroom. They're so angry.
What about you?
They're pretty it can be pretty vulgar sometimes. I haven't known anyone that deeply to know about their family life.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really comment on that.
Would you consider yourself an anomaly compared to your peers? You spent a good chunk of your schooling of the online charter school, so you like basically skipped the middle school experience altogether, which some would say you were very lucky.
I mean, maybe if middle school was supposed to be that crazy,
It can be unforgiving. Middle school can be. It's like the in between, like you're going through two immaturities. So it's like you're trying to leave childhood, and you're trying to understand young adulthood, and going through hormones. So sometimes you're doing things that don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even explain what you're doing sometimes. It can be rough. And you guys didn't have to go through middle school. I know, like, when we go to scouts, you'd hear different stories about kids at their middle schools.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Like, if there was a kid you could reach out today to, or a young man that appeared to be struggling, what would be something that you would do to help them? Or would you even bother?
honestly, I have no idea how I would help this person.
Yeah.
He didn't have an answer, but that he felt the weight of the question. Sometimes even recognizing someone is struggling is a kind of bravery. And at his age, that's already a good start. His hesitation, it's more like a mirror. He recognizes the problem, but the scale of how to help someone, especially peer-to-peer, is paralyzing.
I think the best thing, at least for me, I can't be the forerunner of this topic. I'm obviously not a male, but I can at least start asking questions and not requiring, I'm not going to require that I have a solution, but just getting opinions and asking questions and trying to understand the headspace. And if the exchange becomes, very off-putting, then I'll just this is not for me. But I found from time to time, I'll go and I'll respond to somebody and they'll be decent for the most part. And then you'll get someone who's really out there emotionally. I was like, I can't help you right now. I do feel bad that there are kids who are suffering and don't know how to socialize, or don't come from families who foster good socialization skills.
Or if they do know how to socialize, they find bad friends.
How's that? How would one fall into that?
Oh, bad influences.
Like they rather just lean into peer pressure, or
Yeah, they just find. Yeah, they want to fit in, but then they find very bad influences.
you think people know that this is probably not an ideal relationship or friend group, but I don't have anything else, so this is all I have? Do you think people succumb to that?
I mean, if it's all they know, they don't have anything else to compare it to.
Yep.
Do most people kind of know, this is good, this is bad, though?
I would hope to assume so people would be able to tell the difference between good and bad.
Like you've run across some nihilistic group. They rather have the camaraderie of the negative influences than being in isolation.
Probably.
Oh. Well, I mean, that would explain gangs, right?
Yep.
And other comparables. Okay. Thanks for letting me torment you.
What you heard in this video was a real moment. A conversation built on trust, not a script. You may have noticed some clicking sounds in the background. That was one of our cats rubbing against the phone while I was recording. I apologize. You'll hear us laugh at moments, but the laughter was directed at each other, not the topic. Humor in our home is part of how we stay connected, even during serious conversations. This video wasn't made to offer solutions or spark debate. It's about bearing witness to what some young men are thinking and feeling. I hope to keep having these conversations like this, and I welcome others to do the same in their own homes in other ways. I don't have all the answers, but I do ask questions. I listen, at least I try to, because I believe you can care about women and men without throwing either under the bus. We all carry bias, it's human, but I try not to lead with fear or judgment. Trust me, I have to work on this, just like any other person. I do lead with curiosity though, because I've seen what happens when people give up on being understood. And I don't want us to keep talking past each other.